when you consider the South America buff, right, that it's pretty surprisingly close. We're going right into game one, and one last thing I wanted to talk about was whether Fiend would be locking with Wushang Haratori, because he has been switching, but he's been dual maining those two levels so much throughout today's tournament.
But on the other side, there's kind of the surprise pick, right? Snowy's coming in with the Koji, not the Rayman that we were expecting. But I think it was TWK who mentioned earlier that Snowy had some secret stuff that he's been working on for the midseason.
This is finally the Koji, Koji pick that we were waiting for during crew battle.
Because I know that you said that he told you, oh, double ground pound. Snowy has to go to the other side. Yeah, Spark, you were mentioning, can he survive this recovery? Yeah, that he told you he was playing Koji, that Boomy told you that he was playing Koji.
Oh, he didn't lie. We have new information. It was not a lie. Luna in the crew battle actually made him play not Koji. Made him play a different character.
Luna here. Okay.
Absolutely, we're blaming Luna here, which I have more faith in Snowy after that, given that he didn't directly lie to my face. So yeah, we're seeing this Koji come out. It was looking really rough for him in the beginning. We're getting about a minute into this game. Fiend about halfway through his first stock, as Snowy's very much in the red. But we'll see if Fiend is able to close this one out. Maybe he doesn't want to go for anything too big yet. It's game one, so he doesn't want to risk too much now. He still has to figure out what Snowy's doing. Nice side air, very simple. He had to chase Snowy down all the way from the left side of the stage to the right side, even onto the soft platform to find that side air.
Duke, I thought it was a 2v2 specific skill set that Fiend had when it came to hitting literally every single one of these, like, not really fully charged weapon throws, right? You saw him saving West so much in doubles, but we just saw there, right? Just keeping Snowy away from getting on top of the platform, one weapon throw after another until he was able to pick up the spear, find the side air, and now run into the second stock with the lead. But the D-Light recovery, no! Fiend survives and continues on this first stock.
I mean, it's Fiend we're talking about. He's known for the weapon tosses. He's been known for a while now for his weapon tosses, and then being able to pick up unarmed, kind of improvising with it. Of course, he's pushing it even further. You saw the weapon control that he was able to bring out with those weapon tosses as well. Picks up a downlight side air and puts Snowy in an awkward spot.
I love his weapon control. Like, Fiend will prioritize weapon starving his opponent almost more than anybody else in the game, and I put that as a high priority as well if I was in his situation. So I love seeing that, because there are other players that just like don't necessarily focus on that, and it works for some of them, but I love to see Fiend doing that as he picks that one up, takes away that second stock, and Snowy's looking a little bit rough here in game one. Fiend very healthy.
Yeah, Snowy traveled across the entirety of Mammoth Fortress, and then off the top from that gauntlet combo, and Fiend tacks on even more damage with the spear, bringing out the nair, the recovery, the falling nair, stopping Snowy with that fastball recovery, and the pogos start to come out. Fiend with the down stick. I wonder if he meant to get it in that position where he falls down the side of Mammoth. We saw him do that a few times earlier on in the day, but that sidelight comes through and he dashes back and forth, gets that recovery. The gravity cancel down coming through, and Sparky hits one like he's on.
Oh, he got the double D-Light too! That one was going to KO for sure. Beautiful pickup, beautiful start, beautiful middle, and a beautiful finish.
That's twice where we saw Fiend go for kind of the obvious dodge, read, punish, and Snowy actually dodges out, but then moves right on into it. He had it earlier with the double sidelight where Snowy was gone, and then he went back into it, and we saw it just there where Snowy was outside of that downlight, and they moved just enough back into it.
I love watching all of the stuff that Fiend is basically innovating on the way that he plays, both with the weapons and just in general with Brawlhalla. I think a small thing yesterday was how Foda highlighted that Fiend would do this dash forward, and then while you're in the momentum of your dash, you spot dodge, right? And that's something that not a lot of players do very often, but Fiend does that. And there in that game, we were talking backstage about how Sword players like to do fast fall recovery out of hit stun to really catch people and get them interrupted. Fiend, what does he do? Buffers the nair right when he thinks it's going to happen. We saw the stuff recovery effects, and then he continued into even more spear down airs. And just amazing play coming up from Fiend that's just playing around the exact weapons and playstyle of his opponent and getting him a really solid 2-stock in game one.
Best spear player in the world. We talking Fiend? I think we are.
I don't think there's another name that is quite in contention. I think some people might say Stingray has a nice opportunity to be in that argument, but when we're looking at Midseason Championship, I'm trying to think of what spear players are left
even
here.
in the bracket, and even aside from MSI, like other than Stingray that you bring up, I feel like there are very few other people really in that conversation for best spear player in the world, and Fiend is doing it here. It's so much experience that he has from all the Hattori he's played, from all the Wushang he's played, and he makes the weapon look like everybody else should be playing this weapon, regardless of where it actually exists in the meta and where players think it exists in the meta. Fiend finds his own way to make it such an important part of his meta and his playstyle.
And here we we go, running it back on Mammoth Fortress. Snowy with a change of armor here, but still the same legend. He's sticking with the Koji, going into game 2, and Fiend gets a nice dare neutral light combo, but nothing else on the gauntlets here. We'll see if he switches over that spear that we were talking about so much, but we saw in game 1, Fiend really was running away with it in the gauntlets in the opening.
I love that Fiend is part of that discussion for top spears, because like that's been one of his known weapons forever, right? Came in on the Hattori, saw him on the Nash as well. Like he's been a spear player forever. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like he's not quite like a single one-trick character main, but the one weapon main. And it's so cool to see.
Fiend is so well known for his Hattori that he has a loadout that's the Fiend loadout. Just like how Sandstorm has that loadout for Mordex, right? That is just how long he's been doing it.
Even Fiend's Thatch is pretty iconic as well, even though it's a complete different step away from those other weapons. But people love it when we see the Fiend Thatch. Is he going to take the first stock here? Simple ground pound. Now we're seeing Snowy look a little bit different here, but that's because he swapped the skin. Still sticking with this Koji here. I'm not sure I'm feeling necessarily the most confident on it. Sticking on it after game 1 where he got taken out. We'll see if he makes a swap if he loses this game, but he certainly has the chance to get the KO here. He's trying to get the juggle on a Fiend. GCN Light sending over to the right side. Fiend doesn't mind fighting over there, using that weapon toss to get the safe landing.
Adaptation from Snowy there to do the wake-up gravity cancel neutral light after Fiend would normally go for 2 or 3 pogos on the spear, who only gets 1, but that neutral light catches the landing there. Oh, and Fiend had the right read. Just a little too much distance on the chain dodges there on the side sig, but Fiend's still in that third stock as he goes around, gets the pivot neutral light, and the ground pound. It's a 3-stock to 1 lead in game 2.
Fiend looking to put this one away. He's got such a massive lead, and it's great because he's not sticking to just one weapon. His gauntlets have been looking amazing. His spear's been looking amazing. Snowy is looking like he might have to go back to the classics, go to the Rayman, go to the Zol.
I think you're exactly right on that, because this game is worse than the previous one. So Fiend has to dial in, at least on Snowy's Koji. He's going to have to do something else. He's going to have to find a different character. D-Light Recovery is going to deny the 3-stock. We're about 2 minutes and 15 seconds into this game, and it's looking like it's Fiend's game to lose. We haven't seen any potential so far from Snowy that he can take this back.
Yeah, so let's see what Snowy can do going into here, because this isn't even a game where I can be like, well, the map pick isn't like, no. The things that Fiend is catching with Snowy, I feel like could be happening on any other map. The ground pounds from Fiend, I guess you said, they're just very staple edge guard coverages coming up from Fiend. And man, look at this. Fiend's making spear looks like a counter sword. And that's not even how Brawlhalla works, right? But the way he's been using Nair, both to catch Snowy's landings and stop Snowy from rising with recoveries, has been phenomenal. And so much damage is rising from that. Look at that Fiend, complete control over the stage, only dashing back and forth, waiting for Snowy to land. And Snowy goes off stage with that ground pound, doesn't get the hit, and Fiend tacks on even more damage.
Yeah, really good utilization of game mechanics, right? You're faster on the ground regardless of your character speed than you are in the air, right? You have that higher movement speed, so he was just controlling the ground. Fantastic anti-air tool with the downlight, but Snowy does pick up the downlight recovery. He has some health left to play with.
He's definitely done a pretty good job of getting this game closer to even. Think about it. It was 3 stocks to 1. Now all of a sudden, Fiend is on his final stock. Damage is starting to build up. One more hit. Fiend's going to be in the yellow. There it is.
Double side light.
Few more hits. Oh, that almost picked up. If Fiend would have dropped down just a little bit. So Snowy definitely keeping himself in this game. I might have been a little premature saying this was Fiend's game to lose, because Snowy is absolutely picking this one up. His spacing is immaculate. His punishes are very strong as well. He's playing a very cold and calculated game, and it's keeping him in this almost dead even now.
Oh, man. And Fiend putting up the siders. That recovery comes through as well. Snowy's doing so much better. But the D-Light recovery, not enough. If he was able to get the double D-Light there, it would have been great. But the reason why he didn't go for it was because the dodge was up. And that is a rare miss. But Snowy, not phased by it, continue to go forward. Can Fiend get the edge guard? He gets the pogo. Is that the stock? Weapon throw gets him in the recovery. And you can't cancel that with a dodge. Snowy goes down and Fiend goes up. 2-0 in the set. One more game and Fiend could match Luna in the winter semifinals.
This is so amazing for the South American region. I was talking with Flambeau in the back seat, right? This region was not even in the conversation coming into the weekend. We were like, NAEU, who's walking away with it? Sure, South America will be there, but
there was like a little murmurs of West.
There wasn't, a lot of conversation, and now South America, I said it earlier today, I'll say it again. They've proved themselves. They're on the map. They are definitely in the conversation for one of the strong regions, one of the regions that could potentially get on that top 3 podium.
And I do want to clear this up because there was a little bit of discussion on Twitter about it initially once we started calling South America a quote-unquote major region. And that's not because we thought South America was bad or they're not good or their players, you know, they're okay. No, it's really because we haven't had the option to see them at their best in a LAN environment in such a long time. Even back when Fiend was basically, well, I mean, he is now, but was the strongest player and the representative of South America a long time ago.
Yeah.
He was the only one really able to make it to LAN. DB as well. But again, we have way more South American representation in the bracket in this tournament than we've ever had in Brawlhalla's history.
I really like that Snowy has been like leveling up the Koji cosmetics, right? Because now the armor is
I didn't even
straight up
notice
on
that.
fire.
Sakai Koji.
Going into game 3 here, where it's like, okay, final boss form. If you can't do it here, Snowy's going to go down into the elimination bracket. And Fiend on the Wushang doing so fantastic. Weapon there, he's not going to switch over to it. And the Nairs are coming through, and Snowy getting hit by those at the beginning of the game, but he has a damage advantage for the first time in this best of 5.
I know I was harping a little bit on Snowy on this Koji towards the tail end of game number 2, but he really made me eat my words. He was bringing that back, right? It was about to be a 3-stock, and he brought it down to final stocks. If he brings that same energy into this one like it looks like he's doing, I think he could very well put himself on the board.
I was straight up literally about to say what you just said, that I was a little bit premature in calling last game. I called it too early.
You mentioned it towards the end, because we were like...
I didn't see it coming, and this non-character swap coming out from Snowy, based on what we saw at the beginning of the game, would be questionable. But based on what we saw at the end of the game, no, this is a very smart choice from Snowy. Just needed a little bit of warm-up time. It was 2 games, so he doesn't really have much more warm-up time. He's going to have to hit the reverse 3 on Fiend if he wants the hope of moving on. The Koji is poised early now to build up a little bit more damage. That neutral light not going to be the KO move that Fiend is looking for to even up these stocks.
Nice dodge, but Snowy landing with the neutral light means he gets some more damage on the Fiend, and Fiend's trying to be pretty calculated about this last edge guard. Not going for a ground pound there, weapon throw down, trying to get that recovery through, and D-Light side air, such a great adaptation. The ground pound was not going to true combo before he hit that D-Light, and he went, wait, you're so damaged that I can just punch you out to the side, gets that knockout, and evens up the game 2-2.
I love that you used the word calculated on that edge guard because he did not go in for the obvious ground pound.
There's a lot of
stuff He didn't even do like the gauntlet recovery. He like danced around Snowy's options
and
then
go for drop air.
Yeah.
And so it was like he recognized, it was like, okay, yep, I'm up 2 on the set. That does not mean that momentum is in my favor right now, because as you said, Sparky, towards that end of the game, Snowy was on the edge, on the cusp of a reverse 3-stock.
Snowy now the one guarding the corner. It's kind of going back and forth. First, Fiend was the one up on the corner. Snowy was on the ledge. Then they did a complete 180. Snowy is just a little bit falling behind here in terms of the damage on the board. Fiend still in the orange while Snowy is in the red. Weapon control still in Fiend's favor. You see Snowy jumping around, doing what he can. Nice down air. Gets a little bit, doesn't try to get any more. There's the weapon spawn. Picks up the bow.
The down doesn't hit. That's a great dare punish from Snowy. The down airs are connecting Snowy. Oh, okay. Great bait.
Dude, I was so scared he was going to keep going with it.
That is a Mammoth Fortress special, though.
Yes.
Right? When the platform's on that side, landing with that grounded hitbox right before you go through is something that you can do to bait out a reaction from your opponent. I mean, yeah, we were both thinking the same thing, right? He was just going to keep going and go down. Snowy, wow, this is the closest it's been between these 2 players here.
You can see that tension building, too. Both of them deep red, second stocks. They were really taking their time on the approaches. The weapon tosses come out. Fiend is going for the edge guard, but he doesn't go for the downline ground pound.
I thought the neutral light would hold him long enough for the spear to hit, and it would have been so sick, but he doesn't get it. Oh, the ground pound on the edge guard, and Fiend takes back the lead in game 3.
The tension is palpable, though. You can see how they're playing. It's so much slower than the previous games. We're over 3.5 minutes, now 3 minutes and 40 seconds into the game. Snowy just lost his second stock. Fiend is still on his. So both of them are really keeping pace with one another, and it's a very slow pace, given that Fiend is up 2-0. He doesn't want to give too much to Snowy. He knows he's right on the precipice of taking this 3-0 and moving up. I take it back.
Snowy gets the side stick off of the I can't believe Snowy stares at that fully charged down stick and he goes, what should I do here? Down sig with Coach, and he just goes right through him. The neutral sig dodges. Fiend gets hit by the nair, but he's still living. Snowy taking so much damage off that gauntlet string.
And yet nobody falls. Finally, the nair from Snowy will do it. Final stocks here, but this is Snowy's winner's bracket stock. If he falls here, he's going down to the elimination side of things.
Snowy has come back from bigger, I guess, what do you call it? What's the opposite of a lead? Deficit? Deficit. doesn't matter, though. Fiend is going to take that one. That's a JV2 right there. The potential was there based on what we already saw from Snowy for his comeback options in this set, but Fiend was there to close it out. It was a snail's pace, then it was just fireworks everywhere, then a quick cleanup at the end.
I can't believe it. Fiend's playing incredibly. And that's, I was thinking, I was like, okay, this could go either way. That wasn't really the case with that set, right? Like game 2, Snowy was bringing back momentum, and it looked good at the beginning of game 3, and Fiend adapted so hard in the middle of that. He got a JV2 towards the end, and he 3-0s his way into winter semifinals to fight up against Luna. I can't, what an incredible performance coming out for South America, and it's just like,
It far out exceeds any performance that South America has done at LAN before. We were talking about this in the back. The best he had done ever, because Fiend is generally the representative, was a 24th. Since then, of course, here today, he's doing so much better. He's looking so good. He's looking almost undefeatable right now.
look at that.
Other than those few moments that you talked about, Fiend was totally in control. It's like when you're eating a burrito from Taco Bell that's not supposed to have lettuce in it, and then you get like one piece of lettuce, and it's strange. You're like, whoa, this is alien. This is foreign. I don't understand this. And then you just kind of take it out of your mouth and throw it to the side, and then you get back into that delicious burrito. That piece of lettuce was those moments where it was like, okay, Snowy's coming back in this. That was the little bit of bad taste in your mouth for Fiend, but then he got past it, and he was back in control yet again, eating a standard cheesy bean and rice burrito.
I think if we had a fan vote right now about what you just talked about, how many people related to what you just said, it'd be 0%.
No, they'd be.
There's always gonna be one.
No, I'm looking at Twitch chat
Always
right
gonna be
now.
one.
It's pulling up.